Greetings, YouTube. This is Sixus.
And I'm EV Sceptile. Hello.
And due to the fact that we're getting a new Legendary Duelist pack, that's being Legendary Duelist 5, and so far also we've seen that's revealed is Bakura. That's going to be coming out June 8th, so I figured why not talk about some potential duelists that should get legacy support in one of these kind of packs.
Yep.
And I wasn't necessarily going to have Bakura on this list, but
You got cards. You predicted it correctly.
I predicted correctly. So, but because that's kind of a given now, I decided to go with Gate Guardian, as used by the Pillar and Darks brothers, because they have no name in them to make them archetype. You know, because Sangha, Kasijin, Suijin, not much there. So I figured, hey, the only thing they have in common is they have nothing in common, and they're level 7s. I figured, I figured I'll make a Labyrinthine Gardener, which is a rank 7 that takes 3 level 7 monsters that are different from each other in the fact that they have different attributes. Now, this one states that if it would be destroyed, you can detach a material instead, which reflects the anime effect of you have to destroy it 3 times because it's technically 3 monsters. You can't do that in real life, so this is the closest equivalent. And to stick with it being a boss monster, I decided to make it so that it can make attacks equal to the amount of materials it has. Similar to how it could attack 3 times based off the fact there's 3 monsters. So, yeah, sticking with that. But other monsters you could show cannot attack. And if you notice with the can attack equal to the Xyz materials, you know what? It's not the Xyz materials plus 1 because that would mean it'll be able to attack 4 times once you summon it. Which with these stats, a little too much. Now, if it has no materials, it can't attack at all, which I think makes it a little bit more balanced. And every time it destroys a monster or a battle, you get to add 1 Labyrinthine card from your deck you hand. I figure that's the best name you could go with for this archetype. Then, of course, we got the Dark Guardian, which some of you might remember from the GX anime. You can bring it out whenever a Gate Guardian is destroyed, and I'm counting Labyrinthine Gardener with that. And I kept the cannot be destroyed by battle because it has 3800 attack and defense. That's never coming up anyway.
Right. It's very rare that you'll have something that's actually stronger than it.
Yeah.
But what do?
And I just decided to go with, if it gets destroyed by a opponent's card effect, it will just float into Kasijin, Suijin, and Sangha from anywhere. So you can just start over and make the big Gate Guardian again.
Big boy.
And of course, why not give it a field spell that's a Labyrinth? A Labyrinthine corridors makes the most sense. It just makes it easier to summon the 3 level 7s out, and apparently in the Bandai version of the card game, they were level 6s. I wish they did not change that. But yeah, in addition, it just protects them from targeting, and you can banish this from the graveyard at a level 11 or 12 Dark Warrior from either the deck to the hand or deck to the grave. Makes sense. It's Gate Guardian is only searchable by Isolde and Arsenal Summoner. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, then we got Labyrinthine Paradox, which just says that if you control either Kasijin, Suijin, or Sangha, you can target one of those, reveal a Gate Guardian in your hand, then summon the 2 you don't already control from your deck. And same graveyard effect as the other one because, well, let's just add a little bit more consistency to this because, let's face it, Gate Guardian is just known for being the worst anime boss monster. It's just like, let's face it, it's a boss monster that is actually weaker than the 3 monsters used to summon it because you had to use them from the field. They're level 7s. You had to lose how much to bring those out? So yeah, just not worth it. But yeah, that's just some of the ideas I came up with how they could modernize Gate Guardian. Now let's hear what Evie has to say.
About Goyos.
Yep.
So Goyos is difficult because they don't really have much of a theme other than whenever they destroy stuff by battle, they get to bring it to your side of the field with various restrictions, the most notorious being Goyo Guardian, which for a while was a very generic level 6 synchro with insane attack for the time. And they don't have any main deck monsters. The closest they have is a level 3 that's a synchro that can summon itself from the extra deck for free if you control an Earth synchro monster, which is kind of crazy. I think it's the only card that can do that from the extra deck.
Yeah.
But I decided to give them 3 monsters from in the main deck and 1 field spell. Now there's no artwork I could really take without taking any kind of fan art or anything. So I just kind of took the picture of Goyo,
Defendo.
I think it's Defender, and just kind of put it on all of them. So first one we're going to talk about is I put they uploaded the wrong order. So
real quick, these are used by Tetsu Trudge in the 5Ds anime.
Oh yeah. Tetsu Trudge uses them, and I'm gonna start with the level 3s, then go to level 5, then the field spell I made for him. So first of all, is Goyo Trainer. Basically, it is a level 3. It is an Earth. It's got 1700 attack, 1200 defense. It's a tuner. If you control no monsters or only Goyo monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a monster is summoned from your opponent's graveyard, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. And you can only use each effect once per turn. If this card is being used as a secret material for a Goyo, you can use this card as a non-tuner if you already have another tuner. And a little spoiler alert, I made all of their monsters in the main deck tuners. Just to be unique. So that's kind of the idea, is all of them have this effect where they summon themselves from the grave if you control a monster from your opponent's, basically that your opponent controls. If you take it, you get to summon this thing from the graveyard. And they don't get banished whenever they leave the field, so you can keep doing this if your Goyos keep going off with their synchro effects. Now the next one is Trainee, and this is a tuner. It's 800 attack, 2100 defense. And if you control a Goyo monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a monster is summoned from your opponent's graveyard, same thing, summon it from the grave. And if this card is being used as a single material for a Goyo, you can make it counted as a non-tuner. So the same 2 last effects, but the first effect is different. And the main idea I had kind of going with this is the main synchro, Goyo Guardian. They work pretty well with the Psychic Wielder and Psychic Tracker. And because they like summoning themselves by controlling level 3s, I figured why not give them level 3s to work with as well. They're also Earth, so there's some synergy obviously there. But also, I made a level 5, and the reason I made this is because their level 8 it does exist basically. And rather than make a level 2 tuner to go into the level 6, I made it to where you can use Goyo Chaser to level 5, and the level 3s to make Goyo King. I think it's King. And then you can also use the level 3 Defender Synchro and Golem as a level 5 tuner, and it works. Because Defender also is not a tuner, by the way. I find that very weird. But anyway, this thing is, like I said, the last 2 effects are the same, but the first one is different. If you control a monster that was special summoned from your opponent's graveyard, you can activate this effect. Immediately normal summon this card by attributing the monster that is summoned from your opponent's graveyard. So that's basically a familiar theme with all of them. I've kind of already explained it. This is, it's 2300 attack, 600 defense, so it can do some attacking itself, but your main idea is to profit off of your Goyo Guardian having success summoning Defender from the extra deck and then going into Golem to go into King. Now, there's going to have to be a link involved here, and I guess that would be Mrs. Radiant because I did not make one. So I probably should have made a link, but oh well. Last but not least is the field spell Goyo Grounds. Still Goyo Defender. He's just the star of the show today, apparently. Field spell, you can declare a level between 1 to 12 and target one monster you control that was summoned from your opponent's graveyard. Then that targeted monster's level becomes the level that you declared. And if you control no Goyo tuners, you can special summon 1 Goyo tuner from your deck. Each synchro monster, Earth synchro monsters you control, sorry, the text is small because the picture is small, you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects. So this works with other Earth synchro monsters that you wanted to use, such as Gaia the Swift Force or something like Force of Earth. I don't know what.
Gaia the Force of Earth.
Yeah, you could use that if you want to, but basically you don't want to.
Hmm.
But you basically would use this field spell to manipulate the levels to. You can basically get out whatever synchro you want as long as your Goyos are doing their successful thing, which is the thing. Whenever they made their support the first time they made Tetsu Trudge support, it seemed like they really wanted to profit off of the effect of summoning from the graveyard, but they had no way of getting to that point in the first place. It's kind of like Glads, where they can do a lot of plays if they get to the battle phase, but nowadays, can they even get to the battle phase and survive? Answer is most likely no. So that's kind of the issue with this deck, but even more so because they don't have a main deck to work with at all. So I had to make up something completely from scratch, and I think I did somewhat of a decent job. Let me know how I did in the comment section below. Your turn.
Now, next one I went with was Lumis Umbra. So I guess technically instead of 6 duelists, this is more like 8 duelists. Because I
I
went
guess.
Powered and Darks and then Lumis and Umbra. But anyway, with these, I decided to go with, first of all, the idea is take the 2 monsters that you'd use to go into Mass Beast Desgradius. Oh, how do you pronounce that name? But yeah, so first of all, we train those, and as you can see, for Mass Beast and the Elder of the Mass Beast, the idea is one of them searches out Mass Beast monsters, the other one searches out a Mask of Spell Trap card, which would help out a lot. Because the only Mask of cards are just related to this archetype, with the exception of Mask of Darkness, which I don't think that being searchable is going to break anything. So yeah, with these, the idea is just make them retrains, give them the effect to count as the same name, so you can still bring out the boss monster. Another thing I decided to go with was bring in a new ritual, which actually has an effect, unlike the Masked Beast, which has good attack, but no actual effect.
Yeah.
So, Mask of Sign and Dark, you might know from some of the video games it's appeared in. It was never actually brought into actual games, so why not try it as actual support for them? Now, with this one, it's once per turn, if you have a Mask of card in your hand, you can draw 2 cards, then place that Mask of card from your hand to the bottom of the deck, which would be a good way to put Mask of Remnants in the deck without, having to risk drawing it again, because it's the bottom of the deck you don't have to worry about anymore. And also, yes, give it a graveyard effect where it can protect a Mass Beast. And of course, because it's a ritual monster, we need a ritual spell. Mask of Contract, I decided to go with, instead of Contract of the Mask, I guess change it to the Mask of Contract, just to make it searchable within the archetype. And it's not like it changes anything.
No.
So this states that can be used for Mask of Sign and Dark, or the Mass Beast, just for possibilities. And if it lists both of them, well, guess what? Pre-prep. Yeah, I gave it the floating effect because all ritual spells seem to have a floating effect at this point. You can pass it from your graveyard to add a Mask of card from your deck to your hand, and I just realized, oh wait, you'd be able to search itself with it. Interesting. And I just realized I forgot to change this thing's name. This one also says Mask of Contract. It's supposed to be Mask of Impregnability, which is a card actually used in the anime by these two. And it's just a quick play that lets you target a Masked Beast and it cannot be affected by any other card effects. Basically think Crusadia Power, that quick play spell. And it also has the anime effect where it just stops damage. So yeah, fairly simple. I just think this would be the easiest way because I don't think the boss monster actually needs an update. The boss monster still seems good, especially in that if it gets destroyed, you just take your opponent's monster. Kind of like Necrophil in that way.
Yeah.
So you're next.
All right. So the next archetype that the next character that I worked on was I actually forgot his name. What's his name?
Axel Brodie.
Axel. I knew it started with an A. Okay.
From
So
GX.
Yeah, from GX, Axel uses volcanics, and you might know these as very explosive uh, cards. Basically, they're all about field nukes, and they're all about potentially their main idea is burning with a lot of damage. No pun intended. But basically, they already have a pretty decent playstyle, but the problem is their main continuous spell that they focus around is Blaze Accelerator, and the thing is with those cards is yeah, sure you can discard a fire type just to basically nuke a card on the field. I think it has to be a monster though. But you cannot attack whenever you activate the card, which is nowadays very underwhelming because we have cards that pop multiple stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure Geysaris came out around the same time, and it pops 2 and can still attack.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused with it. I guess their idea is, well, if it's continuous, they can keep doing it. So let's stop them from spamming it, but it's still once per turn. But that's why they don't really have much relevance in the modern day of Yu-Gi-Oh! But they have seen some pretty decent plays back in the day, doing a lot of explosive, like I said, explosive plays. So let's go ahead and get started with Charger. This is originally supposed to be level 5. I put level 4 by mistake, but it's designed to be level 5. And I just put Hammer's art just on there just because it's the level 5 already in the game. It just kind of sucks. Anyway, level 5 Pyro, you can discard this card, add 1 volcanic monster from your deck to your hand. If a Pyro monster is sent to your grave, you can special summon this card from your grave, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. So basically, a way to search volcanics is here. The only searching that volcanics really have is their level 4 rocket, which searches Blaze Accelerator, but not volcanics themselves. And this is a pretty... I would think this would be a great addition to help the consistency of the deck that much more, as well as fill up the graveyard with volcanics to use with their...
Royal Firestorm God, something like that.
Yeah, you take 4 of your Pyros that are in the grave, shuffle them back to the deck, then draw 2 cards. It's a really good card. But anyway, not only that, but also if a Pyro is sent to your graveyard from your hand, you special summon it. This happens really easy with the Blaze Accelerator rods and allows you to do some field swarming. That field swarming is important for the next card I'm going to talk about, the Link, Volcanic Empress. I feel like they deserve a Link at this point. It says 3 fire monsters, but honestly, I think I might just put 3 Pyro just for the sake of Salamangreat not abusing it. Because I feel like it could happen. So when this monster is summoned, activate 1 Blaze Accelerator spell or trap from your deck to your deck or graveyard, ignoring the activation conditions, which lets you activate Tri-Blaze immediately from the deck. When you activate the effect of a Blaze Accelerator card, this card can still declare attacks the turn you activate the effect. So the restriction is bypassed, but only for this card. This way you can still do burn, you can still do destruction, but you can only attack with this monster. So it's not going to be like, oh, I shrink your life points down to nothing, then I can still attack anyway with all my monsters. No, you can only attack with this thing. It has 25% attack, which is still pretty good. But it's not going to be insanely OTK crazy, I wouldn't think anyway. Maybe there's something that people can find out that can break this, because it seems like burn is the type of mechanic in this game that wants to be abused.
Yeah.
But one last effect: once per turn, you can send 1 volcanic monster from your deck to your grave and inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So just a little bit of added burn there, and it also helps fill them in the grave, like I said, with Firestorm Royal, or Royal Firestorm, whatever his name is.
Royal Firestorm Gods.
Yeah. And basically, it allows a retrain of an awesome card artwork, I think, and what birthed the kaijus. Oh, never mind. Maybe it's not so awesome. But basically, it's a good callback to a card that was made, in my opinion, way before its time.
Side note, I think Lava Golem gets the credit when it comes to kaijus.
Oh yeah, you're right. Lava Golem was made before that, but I think this was the first one that required 1 tribute instead of 2. It might have been Santa Claus, which exists for some reason.
Oh,
So the last card I want to... Not the last card, but the second last card, before I get to the big boss monster. Yes, that wasn't the big boss monster. There's another one. Blaze Accelerator Factory. It's a continuous spell, and I just put the artwork of an anime artwork there, but imagine a factory where a bunch of these are coming out in a conveyor belt. Activate this card by sending one Blaze Accelerator or Volcanic card from your deck to the grave. You can not special summon monsters to turn to activate this card except for Pyro-type monsters. This is to prevent the spamming effects of basically the spamming of summoning monsters off of I think it's what's the trap card's name? I forgot the trap card's name. Overload?
I can't remember.
Anyway, but the trap has a graveyard effect where you can banish it, and let me pull it up just so I don't word it incorrectly. So your player's turn, you can banish this card from your grave, send a volcanic card from your deck to the graveyard. So to prevent deck thinning shenanigans with monsters outside of the deck field swarming, I put the summoning restriction there. And that would basically cause it to be more difficult for if they made this monster and they put 3 fire monsters on the link, it would still make it harder for Salamangreat to meet the conditions because you can't special summon them after this card is activated. So it's a simple card. It's continuous. It's just there basically to be sacrificed by Volcanic King, which is the boss monster that I made. It's level 10. It must first be special summoned by sending a face-up Blaze Accelerator card you control to the grave. This card cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, and other volcanic monsters cannot be targeted by card effects either. So your opponent can basically only target this card for their monster targeting effects, and it can't even be targeted. So your opponent just can't do anything. Once returned, you can banish up to 3 volcanics from your grave, destroy cards your opponent controls up to a number of cards, banish them, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed. Now, this is where it gets kind of ridiculous. And maybe I should put an attack restriction on here where it can't attack if it does this. Maybe I should. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But basically, I wanted to make a better boss monster because their boss monster is cool and all. It's pretty good, but it's just kind of hard to get out because you have to have Tri-Blaze Accelerator. Which is a little bit annoying, and I think the trap does count as
card does count as it, but it's still a trap card. So
yeah, it's on delay. You can't summon Doomfire during your opponent's turn, so yeah. But definitely put an attack restriction there. But yeah, that's just my idea. Okay. So you're next.
Yeah, now on to my last one. It's the Rex Goodwin from 5Ds. He used an Inca deck, which revolved around Oracle of the Sun. So if you, hey, we got Oracle of the Sun, why not bring in Oracle of the Moon? The most obvious way of doing this possible. Anyway, so the idea is normal summon it, and then you can send Oracle to the grave, because Oracle of the Sun has many ways to bring it back from the grave. You just don't have ways to get out of the deck. So this would speed that up. And with this one, if it would be destroyed, you can bring out Supe or Fire Ascato. I don't know how to pronounce that. But
we'll go with that.
But the Fire Ant and Supe. And the reason that's important is because both of these synchros the archetype has are very restrictive as to what tuners you use. And because of that, I decided to go with Viracocha, which is, I figured it was appropriate given that that's what the Weeping Idol was based off of. So with Viracocha, it's a walk tuner, and I specify that for a synchro summon, its name can count as either Supe or the Fire Ant. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a single material, you can get special it back, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, the good thing about this is Moondragon Quilla and Sun Dragon Entei, both of them have, one's a level 6 and the other one's a level 8. And the idea is when Entei gets destroyed, you can bring out Quilla. So why not just use this plus a level 4, go into the Moondragon, and then it's going to revive itself right back, so you go into the Sun Dragon. That way you already have the card that Sun Dragon can float into in the graveyard. So it pretty much just speeds up the process, and I think it would be the most efficient way of getting them out now that links exist.
Yeah.
Another thing is Altar of the Cycle. This just makes it so that you can special summon a Apicato or Viracocha, which is the Upper Quarter is one of the important ones in the one of the few members of this archetype, technically series, uh, that I haven't bought up already. So yes, make it more summonable. But yeah, you can summon those from the deck, and if you do, destroy one monster you control. So yeah, there's still a cost to it. And then you've got it protects the Sun Dragon, Moon Dragon, and the Storm Dragon that I'm going to talk about next. And they, yes, can't be targeted by card effects, which helps out because if they can't target them, most likely they're just going to have to blanket destroy them, and if they destroy them, that gets the floating effects off. So it protects them a little bit more, and also it limits you to only specifying synchro monsters from the extra deck, which I just figured it should have some kind of restriction on it. And it doesn't.
It would probably get abused if it didn't.
Yeah, because it has like a free special one plus destruction.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's like the rule of Yu-Gi-Oh. If it can be abused, it will.
yeah. So
Which sounds terrible if you talk about anything else.
True. But yeah, next up we got Storm Dragon Khan, which is in Incan mythology, Khan is the child of Entei and Quilla. So it's just like, hey, why not make this a synchro alongside them? So with Storm Dragon, it's level 7, so that way you have another one you can go into, because if you do have Orc of the Sun out, and then you bring out the Viracocha, you'd be able to, because Orc of the Sun is a level 5, you can easily go into the 7, so that way you can do something with no matter what levels you end up with. So it works with either Supe or the Fire Ant, and one or more non-tuners like the other dragons. And if this is destroyed by battle, destroy all spell and trap cards on the field, which would also include your field spell, which would be a bit of a problem. But hey, it's a Storm Dragon, what do you expect? And if this card is destroyed, then your next standby phase, special one Orc of the Sun and one level 3 or lower tuner from your grave. That way you can use those to go into either, well, mostly with Viracocha to go into the Moon Dragon, then the Sun Dragon, so you can just keep going over and over again. Hence why it's kind of a cycle with it. So yeah, that's just the best idea I could come up with, and I'm guessing most people don't know about the Inca cards. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah. Now, you're up next.
Alright, so this is the last one, and this is one that I think needs to happen, because Chumley, the most underrated character from GX, the most untalked about in terms of Konami themselves, he isn't even in Duel Links yet. What kind of monsters are they to actually not include this man in Duel Links? So, I'm making support for him, and this is what I think would be a really cool idea for Chumley. So Chumley, if you don't know, his main theme is Beast, but mostly themed around koalas.
Well, basically it's based on Australia.
Yeah. There's also a kangaroo involved, but I did not make a retrain of the kangaroo. I made a retrain of Big Koala and Master of Oz, but I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about, first of all, the giant koala. I know, very original. It is a level 7 just like its original normal monster version. It also has 2700 attack and 2000 events just like its normal monster as well. But it actually has an effect. When a beast type monster is special summoned to your side of the field, you can special summon this monster from your hand or graveyard. If this card destroys a monster by battle, you contribute this card and one other beast type monster you control. Special summon one earth beast fusion monster from your extra deck, but it's destroyed at the end of the next turn. This should also have a once per turn on it, and I didn't realize it because being able to summon itself all the time is kind of broken. But I didn't realize it. But anyway, the first effect is just to bring it to the board easier because, well, it's level 7. Any monsters that are higher level nowadays pretty much have to have a special summoning effect or have a lot of special summoning within the archetype to bring it on board. And I felt like that was necessary. Now, the second effect is where I get kind of creative. So they have a fusion called Master of Oz, and And they also have another one called Koala,
Yeah.
something like that. And the main thing with Master of Oz is that it's one of the strongest fusions to this day, having 4,200 attack, which is very rarely overpowered anyway in terms of attack.
Yeah, you rarely get over 4,000.
But this thing basically is designed to, after it gets done battling, you basically can tribute it in another beast, especially with an Earth Beast fusion. And that Earth Beast fusion, ladies and gentlemen, is Koala, Master of Oz. Once again, creative with the names. Level 10, just like its predecessor with the same stats of 1,400 attack, 1,700 defense, lacking in the defense department. But anyway, it requires a level 7 or higher Koala monster, including itself, and a beast-type monster. Unaffected by card effects during your battle phase and your opponent's turn. This is to protect your monster, but still give it a chip in its armor to where it's not completely invincible. There is a point where your opponent can beat it during your main phases, your standby phase or draw phase, or even your end phase. But basically, if you're summoning it with Giant Koala, you're summoning this during the battle phase. So your opponent can't really do anything about this monster if it's summoned that way. It also has an effect where if it destroys a monster by battle, it can make another attack this turn. This effect can only be used up to twice per turn. So you can basically attack 3 monsters with this one card. If this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can add 1 Koala card from your deck to your hand. So a little bit of recovery, but not just instant bring a monster on board, do it again. You do have to do a little bit of work to get it back on the board, but when you do, it's pretty hard to get rid of. Once again, its attack is insane, so it's hard to get over by battle, and the card effect protection, while not perfect, still is pretty good for a big boss monster. So the next one is a beast that I put in here just because I needed another koala to be another monster to summon easy with Giant Koala, and that is just a normal koala. My creativity never stops, guys. Just kidding. I did this out of a total joke because I couldn't really think of another name. But anyway, it's level 2 with 1,200 attack, 1,200 defense. You can reveal this card in your hand, add a koala monster from your deck to your hand, accept this card, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Now this is important because you add Giant Koala with this effect, summon it, then you can activate Giant Koala's effect. This card cannot be used as material for a link summon. This is to prevent spamming with Giant Koala, and honestly, maybe I should put that effect on Giant Koala too. Maybe it doesn't necessarily need once per turn on the summoning clause. Maybe it just needs prevention of it being used for other things besides fusion. This card is tributed. Add this card to your hand. So you'll remember the previous effect with Giant Koala, where you tribute the monsters as materials. You basically can bring this back to your hand and do the combo again. But if you use Giant Koala's effect during the battle phase, you won't be able to use just a normal Koala's effect until main phase 2. So you do have plays to continue after that. It's just a simple 2-card combo that if you're running it, it's pretty good. I also made it level 2 because there is existing level 2 beast support. I'd like to add on to that. So one last card to finish off this video is Koala Crush. Now this is a screenshot from the anime where Big Koala was attacking Ancient Gear Golem, and I thought I'd use it as the card art. So it's a quick play spell. If you control a level 7 or higher Koala monster, fusion summon a beast-type fusion monster from your extra deck by sending 1 Koala monster from your field and 1 beast-type monster from your deck to your grave. Now, the potential for this is really good because there's a lot of beasts that are just generic that can be used for this monster. And basically, it's a kind of a 2-piece combo here. You got 1 on the field, 1 from the deck, and it's really easy to get that Giant Koala on board. Or Master of Oz, the retrain, is also a koala monster as well, so you can use it as a fusion material as well. And then it also has another effect. You can shuffle this card from your graveyard into your deck, then tribute 2 Earth Beast monsters you control, special summon an Earth Beast fusion monster from your graveyard. So, once again, it is basically all focused on quick play during the battle phase, fusion summoning. Giant Koala has the same as like a similar effect during the battle phase. You summon it, so you summon Master of Oz, and then you attack with it 3 times. Then you activate this from the hand. If you have this card on the field, which you should during the battle phase, it's not going to get affected by anything. You send it to the graveyard, and then basically can just go into another Master of Oz. Now I may have to reword that because if it's unaffected by card effects, it probably wouldn't work with Koala Crush. Maybe I should change it to just be unaffected by your opponent's card effects. We're not professional card creators here. But yeah, that's just kind of the idea I had, is complete battle-focused fusion. But
what's this? Battle Focus Fusion? Can you tell he likes Lio Beasts?
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, that's just the idea I had, and I think it'd be great. That's all I gotta say about this.
But yeah, these are the 6 Legendary Duelists that we think should be getting support. Yes, in the comments, tell us if there's any other characters you think should get support. What do you think of the ones we came up with? And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching.